Now, one of the big things that you hear from a lot of establishment pro-Hillary Democrats is how, oh, Russian bots. Oh, the Bernie Sanders bros. They're all working for Russia. They're Russian bots and they're Russian trolls. And that's the only reason why Bernie Sanders supporters didn't like Hillary Clinton, and that's why she lost. Well, look, maybe not the only reason. Of course, they're misogynist, they're sexist, they're the Bernie bros, and they hate Democrats. All they want to do is destroy the party, right? On and on and on, right? Now, look, while there is an issue with Russian bots and trolls, well, look, the Russians didn't create, the Russians aren't the only ones who created bots and spread fake news. The truth of it, actually, is that the same kind of tactics that some of these Democrats are decrying, they've also engaged in. Now, there is a excellent article in the Huffington Post from Paul Blumenthal. Now, he says that a top Democratic consultant was also caught with an army of divisive bot accounts. Yes, this is Sally Albright. Now, she is a Democratic Party communications consultant. She's obviously very, very pro-Hillary Clinton. She's against Donald Trump, obviously. She bills herself as a member of the resistance, of course. But she's also an incredibly divisive voice that always attacks Senator Bernie Sanders. Now, she, of course, goes on Twitter. She claims Bernie Sanders is he's a fraud, a liar, a racist, all that stuff. She even thought that free college, tuition-free education, is racist. Now, during one such Twitter tirade, you had Sanders supporters that pushed back. Now, in the course of an argument, one of the people noticed something interesting about some of the people who were following and retweeting Miss Albright. Now, this is Trevor. First name Trevor. There's no last name because he's afraid of actually being doxxed by Hillary Clinton supporters. Noticed a pattern of behavior when Albright responded to him. Her tweets addressing him were rapidly retweeted by the same set of accounts. This created a barrage of notifications, making it look as though there was an avalanche of opposition to everything he had said. But as Trevor discovered, after an extensive amount of research that he posted online, that these were not normal accounts. These were bots. Oh, say it ain't so. Again, the same people, or the same group of people, who accuse Bernie Sanders supporters of being Russian trolls and Russian bots, they happen to have an army of bots and trolls. Let me get into more details here. Now, first, Albright responds to this. She says, those accounts, no, they were voluntarily handed over by their original users to an unnamed client of hers to be automated in an analytics program. She said that she was bound by an NDA and could not disclose who was collecting and automating these accounts or for what purpose. But just like Sally Albright, these accounts were all massively pro-Clinton, anti-Trump, and anti-Bernie Sanders. How convenient. So, oh, and you want to appear that there are so many people backing your argument? Well, you just get a bunch of bots to retweet you, and then look at me. Obviously, I have so much support in my anti-Sanders tirades. You know that Bernie Sanders is incredibly popular in the Democratic Party. He is the most popular politician in America. And yet, of course, through Twitter manipulations, through bots, you get the sense that so many Americans are against Bernie Sanders and his message. Now, again, that's all on purpose. Now, Twitter, of course, does allow users to automate their accounts, including setting up automatic retweeting and liking of other accounts. Presumably, Twitter did not anticipate that users would simply hand over their accounts to another person or campaign to artificially spread the latter's tweets. Now, automating Twitter accounts to retweet or otherwise promote specific messages, thus, according to Blumenthal, becomes a tactic to silence political debate and squelch free speech. And that is unfortunately what is happening with these bots. Now, over the course of last year, Albright was their favorite account to retweet, almost always as a group. The fake accounts also retweeted people who responded to Albright's tweets, again, usually as a group, and often while in a debate with other users. Now, it wasn't just Albright's account that they constantly retweeted and amplified. They also amplified pro-Democratic, pro-Clinton websites. One of them is Share Blue. Now, Share Blue, of course, supported Hillary Clinton in the primary, as well as the general election. Now, Share Blue was also frequently retweeted by the network of fake accounts, particularly when the Share Blue folks had something negative to say about Bernie Sanders. Now, these accounts also liked resistance celebrities, such as Eric Garland, and Harvard Law professor Lawrence Tribe, and they were often deployed in intro-Democratic Party battles. Now, look, you might be like, okay, but how do you know how did he know that they were actually fake? I mean, come on, this is a lot. Like, Sally Albright using fake accounts? No. Well, here's some examples, right? The account named for Iris Winter, which is temporarily suspended now, uses a picture of Spanish ice dancer Sarah Hurtado. Mini Cicera, which is another account, supposed picture comes from the Facebook account of Martina Painter, an Alaskan who died on January 11, 2017. The picture used by another follower, Georgia Miles, is actually Deja Ferrior Quignon, a New Jersey woman who was killed in September 2016 by a car involved in a police chase. Maggie Campbell's picture is one of Deb Salsrud, a Florida woman who died in a plane crash in December of 2016. Madeline Ware's photo is really Mary Knowlton, a retired librarian who was killed in August 2016 by a police officer in a practice drill. So a lot of these accounts have pictures of people who are dead. Now look, some people do obviously use different pictures of themselves on Twitter, you know, or they don't use their own picture on Twitter, they use a picture of something else or somebody else. Okay, that's a fairly standard practice, for sure. Now, it is still kind of strange that some people would misrepresent themselves by taking other people's pictures. Not just celebrities, but people who had died, who have no say in the matter. Now, one account, Gwen Barstow, which is now temporarily restricted, likely because it used an image of Megan Delcourt, an Ottawa woman who was in the local news after her apartment balcony collapsed underneath her. There's another account, Cheryl Montgomery, that was also suspended in February after Catherine Simpson, a public relation professional in Vancouver, alerted Twitter that it was using her picture without consent. The theft of Simpson's photo to create this fake account was previously reported by the Canadian Global News. So, these accounts, they're taking pictures of people who are either dead or they just come in and steal your picture. And, goddamn. So they will come in and steal your picture and then tweet en masse, or retweet en masse, people who are pro-Hillary, pro-Democratic Party, anti-Bernie Sanders, and anti-Trump. That seems to be a little bit of a problem. That sounds a lot like what the Russians might have been doing with their troll farms, with the Internet Research Agency, those 13 Russians that were found. Now, Albright did admit to HuffPost that she handed over a number of accounts to that unnamed client that had been connected to previous projects of hers and that were no longer in use. She also said that she changed the pictures for some of them. Other accounts that Albright said she provided to her client's project included Propaganda Minister, Druid City Media, @Voter Protection, @Buck's Pocket, @Sally Ing, and @Social Capital. Each of these accounts was connected to a website domain that had been purchased by Albright. A screenshot of Albright's buffer account that she tweeted showed accounts under her control, including some of her automated accounts in question. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, Buffer is something that you can use to help you automate your tweets. It's a perfectly legitimate application. But in this case, as I said, Albright was using these fake accounts to amplify her message and to go and basically try to drown out debate. Now, these accounts retweet Albright and other accounts with similar messages at an extremely high rate. Each account has made tens of thousands of tweets, almost all of which are retweets, and they almost exclusively use Buffer. Now, in March 2017, Albright tweeted a complaint at Buffer about a problem she was having with a recent update. In one tweet in that conversation, she posted a screenshot of her Buffer account. That screenshot showed a number of profile pictures from Twitter accounts under her control. Among those were Propaganda Minister, Captain Waterfront, and Buck's Pocket, all accounts known to be linked to her. There were also profile pictures for accounts that Trevor had listed in this original expose of potentially fake accounts. Albright told Huffington Post that the screenshot was really old and that she no longer had access to those accounts. While it is still not known what organization was actually behind the accounts, most of them ceased operation when they were spotted by Trevor. So, look, you get your hand in the cookie jar and you get caught. Well, oops, time to delete. Let's get rid of it. You want to talk about bots and trolls. You want to talk about spreading propaganda. Well, there's your bots and trolls. And it's not just the Russians. It's people in the Democratic Party. And it's not just Sally Albright. You know, the person who came up with this idea in the first place, David Brock, who launched the original troll farm, spent $1 million on paid anti-Bernie Sanders trolls. Is it any surprise that members of Donut Twitter and the Democratic establishment that are so anti-Bernie Sanders would employ the same kind of tactics? Of course they would. They want to drown out the message. They want to deflect from the fact that Bernie Sanders and his policies, and I think that's the most important part, his policies are incredibly popular, and that he is incredibly popular, and that the Sanders wing of the Democratic Party, true progressives, are the future of the party. They can't stand that. So they will do whatever they have to do in order to try to stifle those voices and to give the appearance that they're the ones that are the populists. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.